I'm Eric Loy, and welcome to Eric Loy Interviews. On this podcast, we talk with folks from the VTuber community on their channels, their talents, their stories, where they come from, and their plans for the future. Recently, we had a chance to be a part of a live stream with Cooky Usagida, and we were on both Twitch and YouTube, and as well as her Irium platform, and we taped the interview as we went along.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's stream. Yaha! Sorry for the no starting screen today. We are just diving right in today. But today, I am getting interviewed.
Hello.
So, we have Eric Loy here, who is joining us today. So, feel free to introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Eric Loy from Eric Loy Interviews. I've been interviewing VTubers now since January of 2024. We've been doing a lot of them, and it's just been so much fun talking with the various different personalities and talents and finding out their reasons for doing this and a little bit more about them. And today I get to grill Cooky.
Yeah. And I'm here with Papa too. But yeah, feel free to ask me anything.
All right. Well, let's get started with first. Let us know who, to the folks around the world who are listening, who is exactly Cooky? Tell me.
All right. Yahoo! Welcome back to the least chaotic pink bunny mage, Cooky Usagida. I'm the least chaotic pink bunny mage you'll ever be, bringing VTubers from Hawaii to the world. I have been active in the VTuber industry since July of 2020, and I am going into my 6th year of VTubing in July. I do mecha tactical fighting games, and I also do VTuber events. I'm mostly well known for my VTuber events in Hawaii, which is the thing that I do the most. Just yesterday, I was participating in the Dancing Diamonds concert. In Boise, Idaho, in Gem State Comic Con with Corey Ojo. So I was one of the participating VTubers, and I was in the group performance for Rather Be. And then for next month, which I'm planning very soon, I am celebrating my birthday in June. So we're planning something called Your Mages by Command. That is my birthday celebration.
Cool beans. And so you are one busy person.
I try my best. I try my absolute hardest with everything I got.
Well, that's cool. I mean, did you always want to do entertainment type stuff?
When I first started in the entertainment industry, I fell in love with VTubers like Ironmouse, Seikyu, and Yanners. In fact, my biggest inspiration was Ironmouse. So when back in 2020, at the time, like VTubers like Ironmouse were getting very, very popular. And I was watching her streams, and I got so inspired by her backstory and everything that she was doing. So, when I first started as a VTuber, I originally got very inspired by Mousy, and I fell in love, with the VTuber culture because of her. So she's become a very big inspiration of mine, and a big reason why I'm here in the community right now.
It's very hard to find somebody who doesn't have at least a begrudging respect for Iron Mouse. I mean, considering everything that she's been through, and knowing that really she still can't barely get out of her room, and is broadcasting to millions of people over whatever she's put on, whether it's singing, whether it's just gameplay, she's reached so many people. That is so inspiring. And it's one of the reasons why actually I'm doing these interviews, is because I want to learn more stories like that.
Yeah, she is a really big inspiration. She's the reason why I'm in the VTubing scene right now. Because I would watch her shades when she did collabs with like Seikyu V8 and stuff. And Seikyu was also like another big inspiration, and that's like another reason why I got into the VTuber industry in the first place as well.
Yeah. Were you a theater kid?
I wasn't bad. It's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Welcome in, Uncle.
You weren't on the stage grabbing the microphone in front of everybody?
I was like a clarinet player. So I kind of did band for like a very long time. I was a clarinet player for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And then the longest time actually I also did like art back in the day too. So
Oh,
that's the
cool.
thing. In fact, that's the name was Cookie's Boutique. I actually started up Cookie's Boutique like way before I became like a VTuber. So like when I joined in the VTuber community originally, it was to promote the Cookies Boutique brand. And then later I just changed it to Cooky Usagida, and Cooky Usagida has stuck by my name ever since because I'm a huge fan of the BT21 character Cookie, and Cookie just happens to be my favorite character in BT21, so that is the thing too.
And I like chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, yeah. So that name will always bring good memories.
Yeah, true.
You can't argue with a cookie. You can't. It's not possible. You can't. You have to even say the name without
Yeah.
smiling. When you got started with the VTuber, which service were you on first?
I was on Twitch first,
Mm.
but my story of like how I did VTubing is kind of a long story. So for instance, I am what's called a regional VTuber or a Gotoji VTuber. So
Mm-hmm.
a regional VTuber means that they mainly do like marketing towards like a specific region, country, city, or area. So
Right.
most VTubers tend to market towards like the global ones in the Western Hemisphere, right?
Right.
But for me, I'm considered a Gotoji VTuber or a regional VTuber.
Okay.
But when I entered in the VTubing industry originally, I was a a global VTuber. I tried to really attempt to do the global thing, but then unfortunately I failed, and I failed pretty big. So
Mm.
I would admit that my first 3 years when I was a global VTuber, pretty much I tried to emulate like the global VTuber success, like was a massive failure.
Oh.
But I got accepted into a VTuber group in 2023 that since closed down. And after but the VTuber group I was in closed down and disbanded, I was back to being independent again.
Mm-hmm.
After I was in another VTuber group for like about a couple weeks or so, and then I left that one too. And after I went independent, I was kind of rethinking like my content strategy at the time.
Yeah.
So at the time, I already did like several different event appearances. I was at like Hawaii Con, for example, and Hawaii Geek Bee in the past. And,
Mm-hmm.
I realized that when I saw what I was doing at the time, there was barely any resources for VTubers in the Hawaiian Islands.
Right.
So it was either at the time I had to adapt or I had to graduate. So I was almost gonna retire. I was almost gonna graduate, but then when I realized that this wasn't just much VTuber opportunities in Hawaii, I decided, I was just gonna pivot my focus instead to Hawaii-based VTubers.
Well, that's good. I think Hawaii is in such a strange spot for VTubers, and it's definitely because of the time zone. Because your time zone doesn't really match up with a lot of folks. For instance, I'm in the central time zone of the U.S. and you're about, I don't know, 5 hours behind me, something along those lines. So if I did my normal time, I'd usually be like noon is when I do a lot of interviews. On my time, that would be 7 a.m. for you, and I would not ask anybody to get up at that hour just to talk to the
I
old
see, I
man.
see.
Yeah.
I'm actually used to like waking up quite early in the afternoonish and morning because I've done like events like on the US mainland and like around the world where I would have to wake up at like 4 a.m. in the morning, 5 a.m. in the morning just to get on an event.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm able to like be able to be there for a lot of the collabs because I
Right.
would have to wake up like very early in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
And then even with that, the folks who are kind of a little bit closer to where you are geographically are like 23 hours ahead of you. I mean, New Zealand is not, all that far off from you straight up and down on the globe, but the date line goes in between you. So that's a huge problem to try and cater to an audience where you have absolutely no idea what their time is.
Yeah, I remember like when I first became a VTuber in the VTuber scene in Hawaii, I was really having a difficult time like catering to the global demographic.
Hmm.
Number one, it wasn't just because of the time zone conflict, but number two, Hawaii's culture is very unique and different from
Hmm.
the rest of on the rest of the country. So that
Yeah.
was also very difficult too.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
when I became a regional VTuber, it made me realize, this is like my culture that I could talk about when it comes to talking about things. And somehow it really clicked because for a lot of the audiences, especially in the Hawaii, in the mainland and around the world, you
Mhm.
know, I do get told sometimes that I am like the destination for Hawaii VTubing or like the catalyst behind like the recent rise of VTubers debuting in Hawaii.
Mhm.
And honestly, for me, I don't really like consider that for me as like myself as a catalyst. I more consider myself as, just someone who's just wants to talk about her culture
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
talks about like where I'm from and all that. That's pretty much it.
Well, that's wonderful because it's them. You've got people now who have come to you, and when you talk about the culture and they ask you about the culture, they're doing this willingly in a format that they are comfortable with. Um, Maybe some folks wouldn't if they saw some like a lecture online, they wouldn't be comfortable asking the questions. But here with you, you kind of with the way you're presenting as a VTuber, you're automatically more comfortable to the listener, I think, and it'd be easier for them to ask questions and find out more about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's why people would ask me like about Hawaii and what's it like because people really love Hawaii and they want to get fascinated by Hawaii culture, but oftentimes there are a lot of instances where Hawaii is often over romanticized.
Hmm.
So, I do feel like that people nowadays are craving more for authenticity.
Right.
So that is something that I would say is pretty unique about myself.
Yeah. I think people look at Hawaii and Alaska kind of the same way. I mean, obviously, at different ends of the spectrum as far as you know, lifestyle and weather and all that. But people romanticize Alaska too. But you got to also realize it costs $1 billion to live there, and you're not going to be able to just walk down and pick up milk anytime you want. It's all imported. A lot of things, and there are other things involved in that. There's realism too. But as far as taking a visit out there, I think pretty much everybody wants to at least be on the island for a little bit of time.
Hawaii also has that problem too
Hmm.
because the cost of living here in Hawaii is like astronomical.
Yeah,
In fact, we're actually the number one most expensive state in the world. Did you know that? We're number one.
I can
We've
imagine
been
that.
number one for a very long time.
Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
even think of what the property would cost to get to
Okay.
own a house. Jiminy Christmas.
Okay. I can give you the estimated price. Are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. $1.1 million
I will not make that in
for a
my entire
house.
life.
For a house here in Hawaii. That's like $1 million.
Oh my gosh! And that's for the
You're
that
HSD? Yeah, I'm HSD.
yeah that's just that's crazy stuff. I mean, I understand it because it's not exactly like you have a whole lot of real estate to sell in Hawaii, but still, it's for that and for the native folks who generations on the island. It's got to be really tough sometimes to see overseas folks come in and kind of try to nudge them out of the picture. Have you seen that a lot in Hawaii?
Yeah, there is actually a concept about that in Hawaii. We call that price out of paradise.
Hmm.
So price out of paradise basically means that you cannot really afford to live in Hawaii anymore, even though you are working and you're going to school, you have a job, for example, and you're doing pretty much everything right. Like you have a place to live and everything.
Hmm.
Even with everything that you're doing, you still cannot afford the price of Hawaii because it's just too expensive.
Hmm.
So as a result, many people have a concept called price out of paradise. So there are two reasons why Hawaii is very expensive. Number one is the Jones Act. That's one of the main reasons why Hawaii is expensive. That basically means that everything has to be shipped on a U.S. made boat.
Right.
So you're not allowed to be using like the boats that are made internationally. It has to be a US made, US tagged boat. So that's what happens too.
Yeah.
And because of the Jones Act and the geographic isolation, it basically means that it costs us more to like ship items and everything.
Oh, geez.
And number two, another reason why is because of the supply and demand. So as the demand basically increases, the supply also increases too. And with that supply and demand, the cost basically goes up to live in Hawaii.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is also the reason too. But geographic isolation, Jones Act, all those factors is the reason why, Hawaii is very expensive. And it's not just like residential wise, business wise, it's also very hard to do business in Hawaii because of the restrictions that come with it. There's a lot of really strict business restrictions that Hawaii residents have to go through. So that's what's also the case too.
Which doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense because where else are you going to land when you're flying a plane across across the Pacific? Hawaii is the destination unless you're going hopping up the Aleutian Islands, which I don't think many people really want to do. Hawaii is that perfect stop off point, and you would think it would be a perfect destination for international trade. But all of that stuff you just mentioned kind of boots that right out the window.
Well, the thing is, we have what's called a melting pot culture at the same time. So Hawaii, in modern times, currently is represented by all different types of cultures from all around the world. So a lot of our foods basically are like a mix of different cultures. So you'll often find like different foods represented at like convenience stores like 7-Eleven or CU Hawaii. For example, you'll see a spam musubi right next to like a mochiko chicken plate, right next to a pho, right next to a saimin, etc.
Yeah, that's good. It's good to have that type of thing. But when the tourists come, everybody wants the luau. That's the one thing you always hear from people who are heading to Hawaii. They want the luau. It has, with the tourism coming in as it is, has some of these traditional things kind of lost their meanings to people?
I think when it comes to do want to learn about Hawaii,
Yeah.
I would recommend not just coming to Hawaii like for the luau's, but like learning from locals as well. So like for example, interacting with locals, going to like the everyday places where locals go to, like Zippies, is like the best way to learn about Hawaii.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just thinking that with people coming in and wanting to, take part in what little they know of the Hawaiian culture, kind of ends up in some of that being commercialized, like it has with some of the native population inside the 48 here.
Yeah, that has become like over romanticized and commercialized in some way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's. I hope that that changes. And people get back to the realism a little bit and finding out really more about because the Hawaii's history is pretty amazing. It's it wasn't like Hawaii needed help when people landed on the island. It was doing pretty good. The story of how Hawaii came to be a part of the United States is pretty amazing too. And I hope that people get them. How many VTubers do you think are active right now in Hawaii?
In Hawaii right now, I would say like between like 20 to 30 VTubers that are active in Hawaii, and about like some VTubers that either have Hawaii ties, were born and raised in Hawaii, or were former Hawaii residents. So I would believe between like 20 to 30, but the numbers are growing in more recent years.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that it's because of me that's been as some of my friends were saying that I've been over promoting Hawaii in some sort of sense. It's
Yeah.
because I think that everyone is like coming together to like provide opportunities for VTubers in Hawaii.
Hmm.
I know like I get credited quite a lot for like being like the pioneer for Gotochi VTubers in the Western Hemisphere.
Hmm.
But I do feel like that it's a mixture of it's a mixture of everybody's hard work and all that too.
Oh, absolutely, and it has a lot to do with your audience too, and the chat out there, and all. I say hello to the world service of Cookie. The the they have to be involved too, and they'll come back for the personality of the person doing the entertainment. They wouldn't come back to you if they didn't like you, and that plays big into it as well. You're when the situation that you're in right now is, I would imagine, very organically grown, where people come in and kind of naturally do it. You haven't really had to, do a lot of collaboration with everybody around the universe to do what you've been able to do.
What I have been doing instead is called event organization.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2024, I started an organization called Hype Chip Expo, which is a Hawaii-based event organization aimed at bringing VTubers to the Hawaii market.
Mm-hmm.
And what we found so far, based on these VTuber organizations over the past couple years, is that there is a huge demand for VTubers who want to market to a Hawaii demographic. However, the thing about these businesses that want to market themselves to the Hawaii demographic, well, number one is definitely the supply and demand, and number two is the business restrictions.
Yeah.
So catering to a Hawaii audience, a Hawaii demographic, and also, figuring out like the taste and the cultures of everyday Hawaii locals, can be sometimes of a challenge too.
Oh
But I
yeah.
believe that, with, these VTubers 101 panels, with, Twitch Hawaii and Vitoku all coming together, even Hype Chip Expo, here at Hype Chip Expo,
Yeah.
all doing their part. It's really helping to bring the VTubers not just to Hawaii, but to all Pacific Islands as well.
Mm. You you're talking marketing. VTubers don't want to talk about marketing. I bring that up and VTubers run away. But it's exactly what you're doing here. You're marketing people. You're bridging that gap between people and the Hawaiian culture, and being able to get into that Hawaiian market. It's not an easy thing to do, especially for people who are uneducated about the Hawaiian culture, the modern Hawaiian culture, I should say.
Well, as I do say, Hype Chip Expo's mission, bringing VTubers from Hawaii to the world, I do the best that I can to try to bridge the gap between Hawaii's unique culture and the VTuber world.
Hmm.
So, in my mission, I always say this: bringing VTubers from Hawaii to the world, and I try to abide by that
Yeah, yeah,
in everything that I do, whether it's a live stream, whether it's an event, whether it's a video. Everything relates to bringing VTubers from Hawaii to the world.
yep,
Everything.
yep. So, folks out there who are in the money thing, get a hold of Cookie. um, they'll get you involved in this stuff. Give you some ideas as to how to get there. It's not an easy thing to do, to take on your own. Have you ever done any marketing in your background?
I used to be like a business owner back in the day. Actually, Mama Usagida, fun fact, she was like a entrepreneur
Mm.
back in the day as well.
Ah.
She's someone that I deeply respect too, because
Mm.
she used to be an entrepreneur in the event business back in the day. So I would learn a lot from Mama Sagida and learning a lot from her, like her time basically running everything. So my mom and I, we used to like run like a clothing brand back in the day. And then later on, it was Cookie's Boutique. And then, now Cooky Usagida and now Hybe Chip Expos. So that's what it is too.
I thought I heard a background in there somewhere. No, that's great, and the fact that you're wanting to spread that for everybody too, and give everybody that opportunity to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really something else. That's really something else. And does it bring responsibility, extra responsibility to you too? Because you're kind of in taking this mantle on, you're kind of wanting to represent Hawaiian culture, so you don't want to screw up.
Yeah, that
Mm.
is true.
Hmm. Yeah, and especially when there's no safety net on any of your platforms. Now, recorded, I mean, I could
That's
edit.
the thing too,
Yeah.
because when it comes to like being a regional VTuber, everything is like a risk.
Mm,
We call it like a high risk, high reward.
right.
So normally when VTubers usually debut, they usually try to go global because that one has like the biggest safety nets.
Hmm.
But when a VTuber basically goes regional or does something like that's pretty unusual, or as we call it, like a devious something devious, for
Hmm.
example, like in the VTuber industry or something different,
Right.
that is usually something that's high risk, high reward with a very limited safety net.
Oh yeah. Well, we had that in radio. I was in radio for 35 years, and um, in a medium and small market, but the, it's a difference in that type of market as opposed to big city or a nationwide as far as what you're able to do. And I think you nailed it on right on the head with what you're talking about. You can, you might be able to get away with something with a wider, shallower net. But if you're trying to, if your audience is a certain pie demographic, you're not going to be able to fly too well off the handle because everybody's going to know you.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's tough to get around when you screw up in public.
that is true. It's a high risk and high reward thing too.
Yep.
So I like to say, even though I am considered a gotoji or regional VTuber, my audience is very global.
Yeah.
I have a very global audience,
Yep.
but I am regional in terms of like my marketing and all that.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, it's still too much fun to be talking with somebody upside down from you on the other side of the planet. That's just too good. And when you started having those folks that were way far away from you coming back to your streams, how did that influence you into what you did?
Feel like whenever people come back to my streams, I have people from all around the world. That it's not just Hawaii.
Right.
I have people from Philippines, Malaysia, United Kingdom. I even have like people coming in from other Pacific islands too
Hmm.
that would watch my streams, and they're like fascinated about this is what Hawaii VTubers look like, or this is what the Hawaii VTubing scene looks like. I even have, VTubers coming in from Latin America, like Mexico or
Hmm.
Brazil, for example,
Yep.
that are very fascinated with how the Hawaii VTubing industry works because people do want to see VTubers in Hawaii. They want to be able to cater to the Hawaii demographic.
Hmm.
However, it is very difficult to market to the Hawaii demographic because not just of supply and demand, but because of the strict business regulations.
Right.
So
Right.
usually when they see like what High Chuba Expo is doing, they're like, "Oh wow, I want to be part of it." So I feel like in a lot of ways, more than one, we have spread the Hawaii culture, and it's been very fun to be able to talk about Hawaii and open up about myself.
Yeah.
So I learned a little bit more about myself, and I basically help others in return too.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely excellent. I get to talk to folks from the Philippines has a very big VTuber scene. In
They
Australia
do.
and Malaysia, all of them have that sort of thing. And you mentioned um, South America. I've interviewed folks from Chile and uh, Argentina and Brazil. There's a lot of folks down there. I mean, one from Peru, I believe. But it's really uh, it's really amazing that the folks who are from these regions really do want to talk about what things are really like in their countries and be that
Yeah.
representative from the countries. It's heartening to hear that come somebody who is proud of their country and what they've done and giving out the good stuff about what it's all about. Not tarnishing the bad stuff, but telling us what it's all about.
Yeah. It actually makes me really happy that people are opening up about their cultures and they're teaching people about like what's it like over there.
Hmm.
Because I do believe that the most amazing thing about VTubing is not just like the limitless opportunities that you can do,
Hmm.
but it's also all about the one biggest thing is that VTubing is global. It's a global thing. And
Hmm.
you don't need to be in like a specific region to be able to be a VTuber. It's open to an entire different culture. So that's what it is too.
Yeah.
For example, since being part of High VTuber Expo, I've participated in many different VTuber conventions across the mainland US,
Hmm.
across Hawaii. In fact, just yesterday we were at Gem State Comic Con in Boise, Idaho.
Yeah.
And then I actually recently found out that I'm gonna be virtually going to MobileCon in Atlanta, so that's
Wow.
gonna be exciting as
Yeah. That's a lot of fun. I'm just so glad that people are able to communicate that way because it's doing two things for a lot of folks. It's making the world smaller but bigger at the same time because it's easier to talk to somebody on the other side of the planet, but having that reach automatically makes their personal world bigger.
Yeah, and I connect with a lot of people who are also from Hawaii too. Like many people who had to move away from Hawaii to the mainland or to another country because the cost of living is just too high. So I have like VTuber friends who are getting back in touch with their roots because of the Hawaii VTuber scene and the stuff that I did. So I have a lot of VTuber friends who have family that were from Hawaii or they were born and raised in Hawaii themselves, but because they were priced out of paradise, they had to move out.
Right. Right.
So in a lot more ways than one, you know, it's helping them reconnect back to their roots while still living on another side of the planet. So
Yeah.
I feel like that VTubing really does an amazing job of helping us to discover our roots
Yeah.
and who we are.
There used to be radio broadcasts that kind of did that, where the shortwave radio, which isn't as certainly isn't as popular now as it used to be as far as broadcasting is concerned. But people, you would have um, broadcasts from a certain area of the world for those who have moved overseas. They get local uh, flavor. They'd get local news and what was going on in their native area, and that's how people would get information now. But now with the internet age, you as a VTuber and other VTubers who are doing this are bridging that gap between what you see on the, you know, satellites and what they're kind of programmed to tell you to see, and the actual what's happening on the ground. You kind of their eyes and ears in the situation.
I feel like that in a lot of ways, Hawaii still has a long way to go before we can, truly bridge the V2B gap from Hawaii to the world. I do feel like that, while it is true that people do look up to be as a pioneer of some sorts in the Gotoji V2B scene, I feel like we still have a long way to go
Mm. Well,
and bridging those VTuber gaps
and
too.
there's still so much innovation to happen. In 5 years, it's not going to look the same as it is now. I don't think. Um, People are still finding ways to do it. Well, look at what Irium has done here with coming to the United States. Now it's growing faster than two overexcited rabbits. I mean, it's I at one point I was trying to get everybody on Irium to as an interview, and now there's so many of them. There's no possible way. Um, and coming to the United States, they found their area. Um, it's to see it multiply like that, and see that more people get drawn into it is, I imagine, very heartening to someone who enjoys it as much as you've been able to.
Yeah. I actually originally started as a Twitch and YouTube streamer before I got accepted to Irium.
Hmm.
So I still stream on Twitch and YouTube nowadays as well. But what I'm doing now is called multi-streaming, which basically means that I'm streaming on three different platforms at one time.
Yeah.
So I would multi-stream on Irium, and then I would also use Restream to be able to multi-stream on Twitch and YouTube side.
Yeah.
To expand my audience and all that, because I do believe that different audiences have different things and different audiences prefer different platforms.
Right.
So for example, while one person prefers like YouTube And I learned this quite a lot that in order to be able to grow as a VTuber, restreaming really does help a lot with like growing yourself into a different audience
Hmm.
because different audiences prefer like different platforms. Not everybody prefers to go on Twitch or not everybody prefers to go on YouTube. So I
Yeah.
always try to make sure that my streams are accessible to everybody as much as possible on all different platforms and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Think of it as kind of like you're digging for oil, and you've got three different places you can dig, and one place you didn't dig suddenly has a lot of oil. And well, nobody dug there, so they didn't find the audience. That's the oil is your audience, and you have to go where the audience is, or in this case, the oil, in order to get to it. And if that means doing it on three different platforms, then you just have that much more to find. Um, that's pretty basic marketing there, and whatever type of broadcasting you're doing, whether it's as a VTuber or a poor radio guy, you you have to do it that way, and that's it's using your smarts there. That's what that is. Um, and I think you're doing that the right way by expanding your reach. You automatically are casting a bigger net.
Yeah, I do think that multi-streaming really has, changed the perspective of things.
Mhm. That's it. To make it tough for you to plan something that can work across all three platforms because each of them has their own way of doing things.
It can be, but using platforms like Restream really have made it a lot easier in more ways than one.
Hmm. Yeah, I imagine I know that Irium has a certainly is much different than the other two. With you don't have to you're not able to put up like a game behind you or anything like that. If you're just on Irium alone, it's you and the audience, and it's a one-on-one type of situation. Have you done much streams like
Yeah,
that, and was that tough for you to adapt to?
the biggest toughest thing about Irium is like showcasing the game because I can't really showcase the game on Irium, so it's just like more like a chatting stuff.
Hmm.
In fact, we actually had shout about Cookie join us for the Cookie Buddy Nation, and Uncle, thank you so much. How you doing today? Hope you're doing good. And then as for Speedy Green, HSD, oh, you're my third. Thank you so much. But yeah, that is the thing about Irium. It's just like being able to like multitask because I'm currently using one monitor for Twitch and YouTube, and then for Irium I use my phone. So it's like
Yeah.
I stream across different platforms, here and there and everywhere.
Yeah, the world service of Cookie. That's what you got to go here. And just to remind folks that we are taping this interview for the Eric Loy Interviews YouTube channel, but we are also live at the moment across three different platforms. Thanks to Cookie, we appreciate that. So everybody out there who's listening, um, first of all, you picked a good choice to listen to because Cookie is outstanding, and obviously or you wouldn't be here. Um, for you in your average stream, what do you like to do on the streams? What is something that is a staple for you?
Good question. So I love mecha tactical and fighting games. I will play those games whenever there is. And every single time, whenever I stream, right, I usually have like different sides. So, for example, on my worksheets, for example, I could show you this one different side that has become a staple in my VTubing community, like whenever I do worksheets. So it looks like this. This is actually a staple on roads in Hawaii. You'll often see this everywhere, especially on the H1. But it looks like this. Well, it doesn't say expect delays anymore. Now it says drive with caution or the dates and the times, and that's pretty much it. But it looks like this. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. Oh man, it always gets me. I mean, I'm such a I'm an old. First of all, I'm an old guy, and a very much an audio based person. I did some stuff with cable television, that sort of thing, but you can find that on YouTube if you really want to. I don't know why you would. Um, so for me, having the video attached to it, whether you're doing it as a live streamer or with an avatar, would add a lot of difficulty for me. Did it ever prove any difficulty for you to see yourself in a model form moving around on the screen.
Sometimes it can be difficult because, like on a platform like Area, but I was shipping on Pokecha for a while before Pokecha closed in the US. There were times when I can't really like showcase what I'm doing, so I would have to either use like Twitter, like to post up later on, or the Discord stuff. Like when I did like my hand cam sheets, like back in the day before I eventually was able to buy my webcam and showcase everything. There were times that I couldn't do it, but most of my area audience, like whenever they're not able to see it, they just go on my Twitch and YouTube stuff, so it's not really like a big deal on my end.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I was never big on showing myself on anything. I was on a billboard once, and I think I caused 6, 7 accidents just by being up there and scaring people. Almost caused an accident myself by looking up. Well, why is he up there? But it's certainly what VTubing has gotten to a lot of people is a chance to sh- uh, present themselves the way they would want to be presented. It's given them a chance to
Mm.
kind of project that inner self that they would like to show everybody else that maybe they can't right now because of job or social status or wherever they are. Is that the case for you? Is
Yeah.
yeah?
So in the case when it comes to like presenting myself for me, it depends on like whether to present myself in a context or not. So sometimes on one hand it could be like difficult to present on one side, but on the other side it's like it's not like too bad to be able to like present myself in some way.
Mm,
I don't think it's like that much of a difficulty. It just depends on like where to present yourself in a certain kind of context or not.
yeah.
Some events, it's more some events are more like suitable for one thing than others. Others are like not so much.
Mm. If you weren't
So it
doing
depends on the
this,
event that we're doing.
yeah, if you weren't doing this in this field with the events and everything else, would you be able to find a substitute to scratch that itch for you, or has this now become such a big part of your life that it's pretty much irreplaceable?
For me though, Hawaii events are always in person.
Hmm.
So whenever I do like a lot of Hawaii event stuff, like for example, I would be able to appear at, like Hawaii Con or Hawaii Geek Beat. It's always in person. So
Right.
we basically adapt to like whatever event it is. But usually in Hawaii, our events are so intertwined, like K-pop and anime culture are like so intertwined with one another that it's not really much of a problem. But
Yeah.
on the mainland, it can be a little bit of a difficult statement because the mainland market is a lot bigger. And because the mainland market is a lot bigger compared to Hawaii, it's not so much intertwined per
Mm,
se.
right. Right. I really think that in the mainland you've got a lot of different markets, but they don't mix together as much. There's you have regions like you mentioned, but you're not going to have a Pacific Northwest culture mixing a lot with Southern Florida. It's just almost two different worlds, and really it's thousands of miles apart. Um, so
Hmm.
doing that sort of thing might be a little rough. Um, and as you said, when you're doing the world thing, global marketing, you've got to start balancing between maybe something is popular in Europe, but it's not so much popular in Asia. So which and you kind of got to pick and choose what you can do based on how many people get involved. That sounds like that would be pretty rough to do.
Yeah, but I feel like with like the VTuber concept, we're able to adapt it to like different audiences. So, for example, in Hawaii, most VTuber fans would prefer like a meet and greet stuff, but on the US mainland, they would probably prefer like a concert. So somehow, we figure out what the VTuber market is like over there and how can we adapt it to like local tastes,
Mm,
depending on the event. So some events will say, okay, maybe we can do like a meet and greet concept. The other times it would be like an official creator concept, or you could have like a karaoke relay session. So that's what we did like for VB to Paradise at Kawaii Con
hmm.
was we did like the entire like hybrid event this year where it was in person and online. So that's what it was.
You just yawned at an old man. That's illegal in every country.
My apologies.
No, that's perfectly. I'm teasing you on that, but really, it's. I agree with what you're saying that you have to adapt to what you're doing locally, but sometimes do you find yourself agreeing to do something and it's like 2 days from now and you don't have enough time to plan?
Yeah, that can be like a difficult thing to do. Cause being an event organizer means you work on such short time, and you have to like make sure that like everything is like planned to a T.
Mm.
So, like sometimes I would be like wide awake until like really late the next day, and there would be people that would be telling me at every stream, "Hey, go to bed, Cookie. Why are you up at 3 a.m. in the morning? Go to bed."
Yeah, yeah, you get that. I get that because it's usually from my wife, though. Eric, go to bed.
I
It's
have
4 in
friends
the
that
morning.
do that.
Yeah, yeah, that's
I have friends that do that. I have a very close VTuber friend of mine that does that. Like whenever I would watch my friend stream at like 3 a.m. in the morning because like their stream is scheduled at like 3 a.m. in Hawaii time,
yeah.
and then it's like afternoon in like their time zone, they would say, "You should be sleeping. Hello." So yeah, but he's a good friend. He's a good friend of mine. We've been friends for like almost like 5 years actually. So
Isn't that crazy how long you've been able to be active and keep relationships like that going over the internet?
it's a lot rarer nowadays, especially in the VTuber world and the creator world.
Mm. Yeah. Is it you think it's because there's so many VTubers now, or are people just kind of aiming for the business side more often?
A little bit of both. Number one, the VTubing industry has become overly saturated, and everybody is basically competing for like the top spots, basically. So when you're basically competing for the top spots and you have a market that's oversaturated, that's why I'm not really considered a global VTuber anymore. I'm more of a regional VTuber
Hmm.
because the regional side of things is slightly more niche.
Yeah.
Um, everyone will just try to do whatever they can to get to the top,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. Which
And sometimes, relationships, are just usually seen as not as much of a priority as like growth and fame, basically.
yeah.
Sad. It is really sad though
I
when
mean,
that happens.
I can see it happening, but when you're talking, I'm looking at it from a radio point of view, I guess, and it's arcane, I guess. But when I was at the radio station, we were competing against other radio stations for a finite audience. We knew exactly how many people everybody was broadcasting. We were dividing up the pie, so we would try to take audience from somebody else. But for VTubers, especially right now, there isn't a limit really as to how many viewers you can get because we don't know how
Yeah,
many are
that's
out there.
true.
I mean, the potential is 95% of the world. Now, if anybody does that, then the internet's going to explode. But it's there's so many people out there. The limit has not even come close to be reached of people who would enjoy watching and some about being a part of this. Um, People my age haven't even gotten started yet. And wait till we get in there and ruin it for you young folks. Um, it's it's so there's no reason really to try and out market somebody else because you just build your own audience. Don't worry about somebody else's audience. There's no reason for that type of competition. Friendly competition, okay, but cutthroat competition. There's no reason for it right now.
In my opinion, friendly competition is perfectly normal.
Hmm.
But when it comes to like the cutthroat competition, like throwing people under the bus just so that you can get fame and popularity, that's in Hawaii. That's just like unheard of and like something that you look down upon because in Hawaii we have a concept called aloha, and
Hmm.
that basically means that we treat other people like family, basically.
Hmm.
So many of my relationships in the VTubing scene, I've had friends, for years and years on end. It's all about communication and treating people with, aloha.
Oh,
because that's just, our culture over here in Hawaii. We look out for each other. We're there for each other. Family is everything.
right, right, and
Loyalty is our currency.
yeah, and that's a great way to live, really, with everything. But when you get into a business like when you're like a finite audience, there's the rules are different. I mean, you're a company going for that. You're just not going to be able to get in the way or change that sort of thing. But when everything is so open and there's still so many, do you want to steal somebody else's land when there's so much land nobody has gotten to yet? Um, there's too much unexplored area to worry about what's there now. Uh, Bring more people in to VTubing. Show your friends. Say, hey, you might probably enjoy this VTuber. Um, you like this type of games. This person plays them all the time. You like goofy things. This person's goofy. You like cookies. Here's Cookie. That sort of thing. It's
Yeah, that's the mindset that I live by. I don't like the excessive amount of cutthroat competition. I much rather would create a community where we can all unite on one mission to bring VTubers from Hawaii to the world rather than just cutthroating each other in competition. But that's just how I see things.
yeah,
I don't like the excessive amount of cutthroat competition because I'd say that cutthroat competition hurts business more than helps business in the long run.
oh
It's
yeah,
gonna hurt business.
yeah. People in general aren't coming to spend their time with VTubers to see them, cut each other down. There's some people who like the drama, and good luck to them. But they're there to relax and have it on in the background or get involved in the them doing the games or that sort of thing. Again, it's knowing your audience and what they want. If you get trolls, if you're a person who's just on to be a troll, you're going to have trolls in your audience, and they'll be as loyal as a troll is, which is none. There's no loyalty for trolls. If you build an audience with a good foundation, like you've done here, um, people will be able to be more comfortable with it, and you can rely on them as much as they rely on you.
Yeah. I feel like in my opinion, with the VTubing stuff, I want like more positivity
Mm-hmm.
instead of negativity. But I see so much negative stuff being promoted like in the VTubing scene. And I want to bring more positivity. I want to make Hawaii VTubing mainstream, and I want Hawaii to get the same amount of opportunities as what you would get in the UK, what you would get in the mainland US or Australia, or pretty much anywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I want Hawaii to not feel left behind in the VTubing scene. I want Hawaii VTuber fans to realize that they can be a VTuber fan in Hawaii and see their Oshis without having to spend like a fortune.
Oh yeah,
And that's why I do this.
yeah.
Because I want Hawaii to succeed in the VTuber market, just like how the United Kingdom, for example, they have a massive growing VTuber market in more recent years. There's more VTuber conventions over there, VTuber events.
Yeah.
There's an increased rise of VTubers in the UK.
Yeah.
And, cafes, for example. That's what I want for Hawaii, and that's why I'm working very tirelessly to make that possible. If
Oh,
the mainland US can have it, if the United Kingdom can have it, if Japan can have it, then Hawaii should be able to have it too. Hawaii
absolutely.
VTuber fans should not have to feel like they're priced out of paradise just because they love VTubers. They
Yep.
should be able to enjoy their VTuber hobbies.
Yep.
And that's why I work tirelessly to bring VTubers from Hawaii to the world. Sure,
Absolutely.
it is not cheap, to bring these VTubers over, financial wise and physical wise. It's a big price to pay.
Right.
But the smiles and the effort that we and the support that we get is priceless. So
Yep.
when it comes to like the support that I get, usually like money is the last thing on my mind that I think about because I care about making sure that the Hawaii VTuber fans get the exact same experience as those on the mainland or the UK. If that makes sense.
It absolutely does make sense, and Cookie, you're doing a great job at it.
I'm trying my best.
Well, the folks who are listening right now and are listening on the replay, they know exactly what you're all about, and I'm glad I've been able to find out a little bit too during this interview. I'm so glad to be able to talk with you, and I hope for one day I could set foot on those wonderful islands someday. But again, I might be priced out of paradise myself. That's right. That
No, I appreciate you supporting the Hawaii VTuber scene. Thank you.
absolutely.
So the best advice that I would recommend if you want to support your Oshis is lurking. Clipping, making fan art of them, stopping by saying hello, interacting with them on like Twitter, for example.
Yeah.
That's the best way to support it. And the best part, when it comes to like lurking, stopping by, saying hello, is free. Donations, subscriptions, money, that's always optional.
Yep.
Always optional.
Yeah.
Lurking, stopping by, saying hello, that's priceless. That's free.
Yeah, and sometimes I lurk with my wife, but she just kind of throws things at me. I can do this on with VTubers, and you guys don't throw things at me, so I appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on board. And yeah, I hope you can stop by one of my streams someday and learn about, the Hawaii VTuber stuff. I'm always willing to teach people about like the Hawaii VTuber stuff. So if you ever do want to learn, please do not hesitate to reach out. If you are a VTuber that wants to come to Hawaii, that wants to enter the Hawaii market, let's work together. I'm always willing to.
Thank you for listening to Eric Loy Interviews. Join us again next time when we talk to another member of the always interesting VTuber community.